Tarlac Agricultural University prides itself as the first state college in the country to be converted into a university through the merit evaluation system of the Commission on Higher Education. We have also established our reputation as a center of development in agriculture education. and as a center of excellence in teacher education. As of this academic year, we are serving about 5,000 undergraduate and graduate students from Tarlac and other provinces. Tarlac Agricultural University primarily provides advanced education, higher technological professional instruction and training in the fields of agriculture, agribusiness management, science and technology, engineering, teacher education, non-traditional courses, and other relevant fields of study. It also undertakes research, extension, services, and production activities in support of the development of the province of Tarlac and provides leadership in its areas of specialization.
The best thing that I like most about TAU is the culture that it has, the accommodating people.
Looking at their hospitality and kindness, starting from the president to the student, they are all good to me.
I chose TAU because I know that this university has the quality education and
the qualifications of the faculty members here are high. Professors here are highly qualified.
I believe that this university has the ability to cater the needs of the student, to impart me enough knowledge, wisdom, experiences, and opportunities in order for me to immerse myself not just within the university but also in the community as well.
Tarlac Agricultural University is a good place for me to study because I did agriculture in my secondary and I went to agriculture college. So I was actually found in a good place where they pursue solely agriculture, and I found Tarlac to be the ideal place for me to do my course.
Here in Tarlac Agricultural University, we students can develop our academic performance and also skills and talents through co-curricular and extracurricular activities. We can hone our interests also in dancing, singing, and journalism, and also you can join any organizations in our Tarlac Agricultural University.
TAU is known for its graduates in agriculture. In fact, our agriculture graduates are very much in demand here and abroad. Our education graduates also makes their names in various schools. Similarly, our veterinarians, genetic engineers, and IT graduates are very marketable.
I commend the Tarlac Agricultural University for its sustained efforts of promoting the students' welfare in providing conducive learning environment for them to develop their full potentials while celebrating their differences and their diversity in culture and traditions.
The values that I gained from Tarlac Agricultural University, it prepared me to be responsible in achieving my goals in the future. I believe Tarlac Agricultural University has a great factor in our life as a professional right now.
We at TAU remain committed in harnessing, developing, and catalyzing conversion of the full potentials and capabilities of the students into becoming responsible and competent professionals in agriculture and allied disciplines, anchored in our core values, integrity, excellence, and service. We shall realize our vision as one of the top 500 agricultural universities in Asia.
Universitas Brawijaya had proclaimed as entrepreneurial university, who first set in the strategic plan Brawijaya University in 2006. To become into entrepreneurial university, Universitas Brawijaya have to reform 3 strategic issues in the field of autonomy, national competitiveness, and health organization. That best become the foundation of any research that is implemented to have usefulness, so the science and technology resulting from research activities can be developed into a new business unit in the community. As entrepreneurial university, Faculty of Administration Brawijaya University has dynamically developed, supporting the vision of Universitas Brawijaya. Faculty of Administration Brawijaya University for more than half-century has been the best trustable administrative education institution to graduate with the best bachelor degree in the field of administrative science.
Dengan visi menjadikan VIA sebagai lembaga ilmu administrasi yang bermutu dan diakui oleh khalayak luas, baik di dalam maupun di luar negeri, kami akan selalu meningkatkan kualitas dan kinerja pendidikan yang berbasis pada nilai-nilai tata kelola kewirausahaan. Di dalam pengembangan pendidikan, kami juga didukung dengan adanya tenaga pendidik yang mumpuni dan ahli di bidang ilmu administrasi, memiliki latar belakang pendidikan dari dalam maupun luar negeri, atau tenaga pendidik di VIA UB juga tak jarang merupakan praktisi profesional sesuai dengan bidang keilmuannya. Mereka adalah orang-orang yang memiliki dedikasi tinggi untuk menghasilkan SDM yang ahli di bidang ilmu administrasi, sehingga mampu berkontribusi demi kemajuan bangsa ini.
VIA UB membuka berbagai ruang-ruang keilmuan di bidang ilmu administrasi. Di antaranya adalah ilmu administrasi publik dan ilmu administrasi bisnis. Keduanya memiliki sub-sub keilmuan yang membentuk beberapa program pendidikan yang telah mencetak lulusan-lulusan yang kompeten dan kredibel di bidang keilmuan masing-masing. Melalui evaluasi dan juga peningkatan mutu yang terus-menerus dilakukan, VIA UB diharapkan selalu menjadi lembaga pendidikan ilmu administrasi yang berkualitas dan dipercaya oleh masyarakat luas.
Tata kelola keuangan dan sumber daya di Fakultas Ilmu Administrasi Universitas Brawijaya dilaksanakan secara terstruktur dengan menjadikan data sebagai landasan pengalokasian kebutuhan yang mendukung terselenggaranya proses pendidikan yang optimal.
Di samping mahasiswa dipersiapkan sebagai insan akademis yang menguasai dengan baik pembelajaran di kelasnya terhadap teori-teori yang diberikan para dosen, kami juga melakukan pengembangan karakter atas minat bakat yang dipunyai oleh mahasiswa.
It is my dream to complete my study in the administrative field. Faculty of Administrative Science, University of Brawijaya has become my third choice. In addition to the quality and good learning experience, graduate output has high employment opportunities to compete globally.
The learning activities are delivered creatively and innovatively by the lecturers so students can get real learning experience to provide their close-up picture of professional work. And I think this experience really helps students to shape their attitudes as the main factors in the world of work.
Cek. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon you all. Good morning, everyone. It is so nice to see you here again today in the third day of the summer course program 2023 in collaboration between Faculty of Administrative Science of Universitas Brawijaya Indonesia and College of Business and Management Tarlac Agricultural University, the Philippines. So once again, I welcome you all and to this third day, and we are going to have very interesting sessions today. And once again, let me introduce myself. My name is Aulia Lukman Aziz, and you can call me Lukman. If you see somebody who always reply to your chats in the WhatsApp group, so it is me. Yeah, so this is my face, and I'm so happy to see you all here today. And you know that there are three reasons why I'm so happy this morning, because the first one is our men's football national team has won a gold medal in the last night SEA Games final, yeah, against Thailand. So I think it's a very strong rivalry with Thailand, but for now, let us win. Yeah, but in the next years to come, I hope others can win, Thailand, Vietnam, and other countries in Southeast Asia in the same competition. And I also thank you to our brothers and sisters in Cambodia for being such a very nice host for this year's SEA Games. Thank you very much. And the second one is I'm so happy that we have so many participants from across the world. And right now in our WhatsApp group and the ones who have registered in our Google form, we reached the number of about 400, 500 participants from 18 countries. So it's becoming a very great community, all of us. And I hope our communication doesn't last here, because in the future we will also have other programs that might be interesting to you. So please stay tuned with us in the WhatsApp group. Perhaps you have any ideas or any suggestions of what kind of events or programs that we can do together. We collaborate with institutions in Southeast Asia, particularly. Please share with us. And the third one, the one that I am so happy today, is we are going to have a very nice topic today. The topic is seed funding, preparation. So in the last 2 days, we've all learned about establishing your own startup or business. And we have learned how to generate ideas in the first day. And then we learn about how to create a very good selling business modeling. And now it's time for us to talk about the capital. Yeah, so we talk about the money right now. And with us today, the topic will be presented by somebody who is very special, very expertise in his field. He was the head of Global Capital Markets Division with Lendable Inc., working to connect global investor with emerging market impact investment opportunities. And his current job is CFO for Fairbank. He is also a board member of the Indonesian CFA, or Chartered Financial Analysts Society, along with being a part-time lecturer for the Indonesian Stock Exchange's Education Division. He has accumulated over 20 years in government, banking, and financial institutions in Australia, the US, and Asia. During the past 10 years, he has primarily been dedicated to international trade institutions and investment companies in Indonesia. As a result, he is now an experienced board member, having sat on several company, association, and institutional boards. His slogan, as we can see in his LinkedIn profile, is connecting capital with opportunities. So right now, you have opportunities, and it's time for us to talk about the capital to make your opportunities come true. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Mr. Mark Bruni. Good morning, Mr. Mark Rooney. How are you
Salam
today?
alaikum. Good morning. I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Thank you. I'm glad today to see you. Where are you now? Are you in
I'm
Jakarta?
in Jakarta. Yeah,
You're
I'm
in
in.
Jakarta. Okay. How long have you been living in Jakarta, Miss?
I've already been in Indonesia for over 12 years now.
Oh, wonderful. So have you
Yeah.
come to different cities in Indonesia?
I've traveled all over, so thankfully I've seen many parts of this wonderful country.
Yeah, you probably will take a lifetime, yeah, to go around. There are so many cities.
Definitely.
Distraction here. All right, Mr. Bruni, today's topic is about seed funding preparation. So I guess we want all to hear from your knowledge and expertise on how to prepare the funding for our startup company. So the time for you is about 45 minutes of the days, and we will continue with question and answer session. Once again, to all participants, if you have any question, you can directly speak to the speaker by clicking the raise hand button, or you can simply write in the chat box and we will read it aloud for you later in the question and answer session. So, Mr. Mark Rooney, time is yours.
Great. Thank you very much. Can I just check firstly, can people see my screen, my presentation?
Not yet, sir.
No, not yet. Let me have a look.
You need any help?
It's okay.
All right. Okay. We'll just, no problem. Okay.
Okay. Or perhaps I can, if this, apologies, I'm trying to share it, but I've got to open my system preferences and allow for it.
Oh, hold on. Can the host open access for share screen? Share screening?
Share screen's allowed, but it's on my computer because I'm not a regular user of Zoom, so it's not allowing me.
All right. Hang on. Let me. Please, somebody make Mr. Mark Bruni as the co-host of this Zoom. Oh, yeah. I think you can go it. Okay. You now, sir.
Okay. I might need to jump out and jump back in. Apologies. I'll be back in 1 minute.
All right. No problem. And all right. So as I can see in the chat box, we have greetings from different people. Yeah, I guess good morning to Miss Castillo, Miss Solanga. I believe you are from the Philippines. Yeah, we have Ibu Erma Yanuarni from Mataram University. Good morning, Ibu. We have Ma'am Maribel. Thank you for your presentation yesterday. And we have Ma'am Siti Samsyar from UITM Malaysia. Some of my colleagues are studying there, ma'am, in the faculty of, what is that? Something related to library science. What faculty is that? Yeah, if they're okay, it's nice to see you. And we have a quite long-term collaboration with some colleagues from UITM, so it's nice to see you. We have Sang Chantari from Thailand, I guess. Thank you very much. We have, from Cambodia, Man Bori, thank you very much. Yeah, we chat this morning and we talk about some ideas on how to make us connected. You know, I always believe that people in South Asia should somehow be connected. Yeah, because we are in one global village, in one big village in Southeast Asia. Okay, Mark, have you get back with your presentation?
Yeah, unfortunately, my system's not going to let me share it because of Zoom. But if I could just share the presentation with somebody on that side, if somebody could quickly give me an email, and I'll just share it.
Okay, you can send it to me. Let me prepare the WhatsApp. Hang on a second.
Yeah. So
All right, let me connect my WhatsApp with the device.
or if you could just WhatsApp me an email, that would be easiest.
All right.
Quickest and easiest. Yeah.
Okay, wait a second.
So anyway, whilst we're waiting for that, so I think I'll just start off by introducing myself. As you know, as you've heard, my name is Mark Bruni. I'm originally Australian, so please bear with my accent. And prior to moving to Indonesia back at the you know, over a decade ago, I was actually working for an Australian bank in New York, dealing with hedge funds, private equity, and derivatives trading over there in the US. And then also helping the bank clean up its bad balance sheet during the global financial crisis. Prior to that, I had about 10 years in banking in Australia, where I covered everything from personal banking all the way through the grades up until wholesale banking. So at the very pinnacle of that. And then eventually after my banking career, I decided to take a chance and move to Jakarta back in late 2011. And so since moving to Jakarta, I've had several positions, working in private equity here back in the early stages. So I saw the industry before the industry wasn't really there. And I remember talking to foreign investors back in those early days. You know, we're talking 2011, 2012, and 13. And a lot of investors back then, when you talk about Indonesia, they would say things like, is Indonesia is at the island off Bali. And, you know, the perception was of, you know, not many people knew who Indonesia were a decade ago. But now, fast forward, and starting from about 2017 onwards, there was a very much a dynamic change. And everybody now knows exactly what Indonesia is and who Indonesia is. And so I think that's a big flip, and it's a big you know, it's a big endorsement for the country, and it spells why there's so much foreign investment, or there was so much foreign investment pouring into Indonesia over the previous time frame. I think perhaps if you could just say the email to me, and I can just I could just type it in. If you could just spell it out for me quickly, it'll take 2 seconds.
All right. Have you sent the file to me?
I haven't received an email yet.
I mean, your presentation file?
I haven't received an email yet.
Oh, you're waiting for my email address.
Yes, yes.
Hang on. Here it is, sir. Sorry for waiting.
Okay, right.
All right.
And 2 seconds. There you go, that's been sent.
Okay, let me grab it from my
So anyway, so whilst we're loading up the presentation, let me begin. So today I'm going to just, you know, continue to give a little bit of a background to myself. We're then going to have a quick chat about you know, the current state of the industry and what the industry actually is. Today's topic is particularly around seed funding, which is a very niche part of the industry, and it's something that it's not something that a company stays in forever. It's something that a company passes through. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. I have some examples prepared. So we have a look at you know, some examples from here in Indonesia, and also some examples of some companies you might know from overseas. And then after that, we'll go through and chat about you know, the current state of the industry and how the industry's changed over the past you know, particularly the past 2 or 3 years, where we've gone from a tech boom into the tech winter, and then what people actually need to know to raise seed funding today, what you need to be presenting to investors, what you need to be showing to investors, and the like. And so yeah, that's what we'll be discussing today. So, I'll continue on my personal background. So I think most notably for this presentation, I worked with Coinworks. I was a Coinworks CFO for about 3.5 years there with Coinworks. We raised over $200 million in debt funding for them, almost $100 million in equity funding for them through the different industries. We grew our assets under management from around $10 million all the way up to about $170 million when I left. And so that was up over 2 trillion rupiah when I left Coinworks midway through last year. And we took that from a money burning operation. And I know, the months where I left and the few months before I left, Coinworks was actually profitable. So I went from being a loss-making company, we went through the J curve and we turned profitable. After Coinworks, I went and joined Lendable, mainly working on a project on setting up their capital markets division. And so people who don't know Lendable, and I assume that's pretty much everybody, Lendable do debt investments into fintech companies around the world. And so this allowed me to map out the fintech universe or the fintech globe, which fintechs are doing what in which part of the world, and then also leading them in projects around, sustainability monitoring, co-investments in places such as South Africa, Kenya, Colombia, Mexico. And so it really gave me the global view on that. And then recently, I've come back closer to home, joining Fairbank as their kind of CFO plus. So with a very broad role in terms of helping Fairbank. Joined Fairbank, we've advised on a $7 million seed round with them, and I'll talk a bit more about the mechanics around the seed round that we raised a bit earlier. So next, please. So I want to talk to you about how the seed stage falls into the stages of investment and what we're looking for in terms of each stage of investment. So I assume as part of your summer course, you'll spend a lot more time into each of these. So I won't go too deeply into it, but what we can basically see is that here in this table on the right, as we go from left to right, we go from angel through seed through growth, and then through crossover and late stage buyout. Basically, the further left you are, the more emotional, the less numeric, the less quantitative the analysis is. And then the further you go to the right, as you go towards growth, crossover, buyout, the more quantitative as opposed to qualitative. So the more your financial performance will depend on your valuation, the more your sales revenue growth will depend on your valuation. Typically on the right side, you've got more advanced investors. They're demanding things like, significant market share, profitability, and a market that you can grow significantly into. Whereas in the early stages, typically what investors are looking for is what they call product market fit. So will your product have a market to fit into? We're seeing here in Indonesia, there's some recent examples. GoToko recently, shut down this week. And that was simply because there wasn't really a product market fit for it. And so that's always a judgment. And sometimes, they're not correct, and often they're not, but that's a risk that the early stage angel investors take. And so really the earlier the stage it is, the more it's based around the experience of the management, the reputation of the management, and then what their what the product is and what the market opportunity is. And I'll go into those in a little bit more depth in the next few slides. Next one, please. So I just want to run through some examples of seed rounds. And so here I've got some examples up on the screen here. Where am I? Okay. So we look. So the first one's quite a fun one, where the founders of Airbnb, I'm pretty sure you all know who Airbnb is. Excuse me. The founders of Airbnb, they had a problem very early on in the company's life, where basically they ran out of money, and they hadn't quite started to grow yet. They hadn't raised their seed round yet. They just had some money that from friends and family. They hadn't raised any institutional money yet. And so what they actually did is that the founders of Airbnb during the 2008 presidential election campaign in the US, they made cereal. We all know who Obama is. Most of you probably don't know who McCain was, but they were both running as presidential candidates in the 2008 US presidential elections. And so what the founders did is, because they couldn't get institutional funding, is they basically made cereal and sold it. Through that, they managed to raise about 20,000 US dollars, about 300 million rupiah, and they then managed to build the company from there. Uber was a bit more. Well, it was also a bootstrap company, so they started as a small group with a mobile application, connecting passengers and drivers, similar to what it is today, but far less advanced. They raised an initial seed round of 200,000. So that one's about Tiga Miliar from angel investors. So, and that came predominantly from one VC fund and from the co-founder's personal money as well. We've got Slack, which is a communication platform that you'll use when you go into tech companies. That one there, they raised a seed round back in 2013, 1.5 million. They raised, which was predominantly from mainly institutional investors. And the reason why they got institutional money was because they had management team who had done this sort of thing before. And so they were lucky they didn't have to go and sell cereal. Closer to home here, we're talking, Gojek, which is, back in 2011, raised a $1.5 million seed funding round, so about 2 billion rupiah. It was provided by companies you might have heard of called East Ventures, with the logos in the middle there, and Sequoia, who's the logos at the bottom there. So obviously those investors who invested back in 2011, they've made a lot of money from it. Tokopedia, so now these two examples I've now merged into one. Tokopedia raised 1.1 million back in 2009. Again, it was led by East Ventures. And so this is why East Ventures, it's a bit of a legendary company here in Indonesia. Another example, so you've also got Traveloka, similarly again in 2012 raised $500,000 from East Ventures and another fund called Global Founders. And then, so closer to home, I can talk about my direct experience with Queenworks. Queenworks had a seed round of about $3 million back in 2018. That was mainly raised from friends and family money, but also it was raised from some local VCs, including an arm of East Ventures, came in and invested in it then. With Fairbank, who I'm currently with at the moment, we did a $7 million seed round, and that one was raised from Vertex Ventures, who are a global venture capital fund, and the Asian Development Bank, because of the high impact of the product. And so there's there's some examples of the seed rounds, and you can kind of see where most of these companies have gone. Airbnb's global, Uber's global, Gojek and Toko are large regional Southeast Asian players. And so, these are very, high profile success stories of companies that managed to raise seed rounds and really go on and kick on and grow from there. Next one, please. So, so when you're looking at funding, and if you're looking to go out and raise seed capital in the world, at this stage of the business, it's actually not that important to have things like legal entities set up, or bank accounts, or this sort of thing set up. That's more important when you get to A round. What investors will be looking for is they'll be looking at you as an individual. Are you somebody who can take the company through the troubles? Are you somebody who's going to stick around and get through whatever difficulties the companies face? And for early stage startups, the problems will be a lot. I know this firsthand, and the problems will come out of nowhere. If you're doing, I'm in the fintech space, so we have regulators to deal with, we have, customers, we're dealing with money. So it's, there's high degrees of, complexity when doing that. But it doesn't matter which industry you're in, there's always going to be complexities, and there's always going to be, rules and regulations and things you have to adhere to. And, even simple things like tax. So investors will look at you individually as a person. You know, who are you? Who's your family come from? Have you had investments before? And I think where we're very lucky right now is that you can have failed startups in this environment in the past, so long as your behavior was good. And what I mean by that is that people can still raise money here where the previous startups had failed, so long as those startups were failing, they showed good character. And so they were open with communications. They didn't take money from the company. They tried their best. They also lost their own personal money in the company, and they behaved admirably in a tough situation. In a previous role that maybe that company failed, investors will still back those individuals into new ideas, because often those people who have several failures can then turn something into a great idea because they've had those learnings from the previous failures. And so the first one is you've really got to look at yourself and how you pitch yourself to investors. You know, your family, your school, your network. You know, are you close with any of the large families here? Do you know, are there any people you can tap on to be advisors and to help you get through those things like regulatory issues and that sort of stuff? Do you have people around you who have experience in doing what you're trying to do or doing something similar to what you're trying to do? So it's very much a judgment call on the capacity of the founder and the management that they've got around them. You know, and so if it's just the founder, you know, typically what people will do in the early stage is a founder will bring on what they call advisors. Now, advisors are not full-time staff. Typically, they're paid in stock in the company. So an advisor might get 0.5% or 1% of a company to be the advisor, but then they can put their resume onto a pitch deck, and that can then help raise money for the company and help the company grow, and then eventually buy professional management to sit underneath the founder. The second one is who are your customers, and you know, what market are you actually selling into? You know, you've got this product, so for example, if you're Credivo, your customers are consumers, retail consumers. Your customers aren't big businesses. You know, your customer isn't government. Your customers are retail consumers predominantly, and you access those customers via partnerships. So you're selling products through things like retail stores, department stores, online sales, that sort of thing, through partnerships to then sell your loan product there. And then the other one is kind of, what are you selling and how's it different to what's actually out there in the market? You know, we're at a stage of, you know, advancement of humankind where pretty much everything's been invented. So most of the plays at the moment are taking a previous idea and using technology to improve it. And so, for instance, you can take things like, and one of the big plays in fintech is taking things like credit underwriting. So doing the credit assessment on a loan. It doesn't matter what type of loan, and it's taking that and then digitizing it, trying to get all the information about someone that's out there, whether you're pulling it off their phone or you're taking it off the internet or whatnot, and digitizing that credit process, because that credit process in a traditional bank is a paper-based process that takes a long time, costs a lot of money, you know, and it can really, the borrower feeling can be hurt during the process. And so, you know, that's just one thing where, you know, people have been lending money for, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years, but with technology, it's about making the process easier. So, you know, what you're selling in that case, you know, if you're doing a digitized lending solution, what you're selling technically isn't really a loan. What you're selling is the convenience of a better process to your customers. And so it's about getting to the crux of what you're selling and why you're different to others and why you're better, you know, and why the others aren't doing it. You know, what's holding back the other competitors from doing what you want to do and coming in and doing that. And then the other one is, you know, it's how you scale. And so at the seed stage, you don't need to be scaling yet. Your product doesn't need to be perfect. You know, your product can be still a work in progress, can still be what we call a MVP, minimum viable product. But you need to have an idea of how you're going to scale. So when you talk to the investor, you say, we will scale by, for instance, partnering with universities. We're going to scale and we're going to share some fees with universities and sell products to students. You know, that could be one way someone might want to scale. Or we could scale by partnering with Alphamart and selling, you know, product through Alphamart, or you know, partnering with Tokopedia, you know, for instance. So you need to have some idea about how you could potentially scale. And so, you know, the main crux for all of the above points that goes through them all is basically how are you going to make this idea or this business a success where others can't. And so that's, you know, when I talked about who you are, your family, your school, your network, that's what's going to differentiate your probability of making it a success versus your probability of not. You know, who your customers are. Is that realistic? Is the investor will see it? Is it realistic? The investors might give some good feedback. You know, what are you selling? Yeah, again, it comes back to, can it be made a success or not? And how you're going to scale. You know, it's no good having a you know, a great idea, but it just can't scale because you just, you know, the logistics just can't work. And so, for instance, we've got a number of companies at the moment, companies like Ula, GoToko, where they're looking to scale into merchants in rural villages in Indonesia. And because that model is super high touch, they require the merchants to download an application. They need to put sales agents out into the field. And what we're finding is that these ideas are having an incredibly hard time of scaling. And so whilst, you know, what they're selling, they've identified who their customers are, they know what they're selling, they're finding it incredibly difficult to scale. And we'll talk about the J curve in a couple of slides, but you know, that because they're not scaling, they're burning money. And if they can't get to that scale, then they'll continue to burn money. And you know, if you're burning money as a business, it's not a long-term it's not a long-term process. You want to be burning money for as short a time as you can, because all businesses need to make money to survive. And so, you know, it's that scaling and whatnot. That's why that's so important, because we're seeing in the market now several examples of where companies cannot scale and they're getting burnt for it. Next slide, please. I just want to take a side note here. Now, sorry. Now, back in the heights of the tech boom here in Indonesia, every idea that came out, everybody wanted to have a unicorn company, so a $1 billion company valuation, or a decacorn company, so a company that was worth 10 billion. And I think what people got away from was working on a fundamental business where the business itself made money, and everybody in the ecosystem was just chasing valuations for the next round. What I want to show you here, this is a slide. It's a very old, and this is a graphic I pulled off the internet, but it's a very old, so it's 9 years old now, from 2014, but I think the proportions still apply today. And so this is showing it at that time, there were 7.2 billion people in the world. And out of all those people, there was only just under 18 million millionaires. So out of 7.2 billion, 18 million. And so if you see underneath the big yellow cone, there's a little green cone. And that's the cone that's been extrapolated on the left. And so, you know, just under 18 millionaires. And so if you're talking about getting a company and getting to $1 million valuation, you'd be one of 18 million people in the world. That's less than the population of, you know, Jabodetabek, who are millionaires in the world. Ultra high net worth individuals. So these are people who have, you know, wealth between 1 million and you know, 9.9 million. And so there's only 172,000 there. Center millionaires. So these are people who are worth more than $10 million up to $1 billion. There's only 38,000, right? And for billionaires, so people who typically billionaires either inherit their wealth or build companies. And so all the billionaires in the world have there's only, you know, there's only 1,800. The figure's likely higher today because since then we've seen the, you know, explosion of China and and whatnot, and a lot of economic growth around developing nations. But still, it's a tiny, tiny fraction of the world where things turn from, people go from zero to billions. And so when I'm talking to a younger audience like I am today, I just want to put reality there in terms of instead of an idea having to be a billion-dollar business idea, it's perfectly fine if the idea just makes money. It's perfectly fine if it's profitable and if it makes $100,000. If you get a company valuation of $1 million, that's awesome. Like that's really, really, really fantastic. And so, you know, the whole thinking around we must be worth, you know, hundreds of millions, we have to be, you know, these sky high valuations and whatnot. I think we just need to reposition that back in and, you know, not let people get dizzied and dismayed by the very high heights of, you know, chasing after a multi-billion-dollar business when there could be a business worth $100 million sitting right in front of them. And so it's about, you know, being okay with the business opportunity that's not, you know, a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. Investors are fine with it. If you can get the profitability quickly, investors will invest. So that's just a little side note here as we're talking about that. If we can just jump through the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There. Okay. So yeah, so before I was talking about the problems with companies at the moment here in Indonesia and in other parts of the world as well, where they're burning money and they can't really scale. And so the reason around that is that with a company, what we do in the early stages of a company when they're burning money is we do a calculation called unit economics. And what a unit economic is making sure for each single unit of something that you're selling, we make sure that you're profitable on that unit. So even though your company as a whole is burning money, and typically your company is burning money doing one of two things. It's burning money either by building their technology that's going to help you scale and reduce costs later, or it's burning money by doing marketing and buying market share. So whether it's marketing through discounts, which we see on our delivery applications every day, or marketing through things like billboards, digital marketing, so buying online space, this sort of thing, they're typically outspending their level of revenue because they're trying to go and create and grab a portion of the market. If a company doesn't have positive unit economics, it doesn't matter how big it grows, it will always be loss-making. And so that's why investors, especially in the seed or the early stage, it's important to know that your company's, when you're selling something, so for instance, sorry, losing my voice. So for instance, if you're a company printing textbooks and selling textbooks, you want to know that for each textbook you sell, you're making a margin on that textbook. Now, even if in the early stages your company's burning money marketing those textbooks to students, you still want to make sure that for each textbook you sell, you're making a profit. And so without a profitable unit economic, there's no path to profitability. So there's no, as you go through that J-curve phase and you go through into your A and B rounds and start to really scale, if it's not positive unit economics, then you'll always make a loss. All you'll simply do is increase the losses that you make by scaling. And so it's really important to make sure that you're on top of those numbers. And if you're seeking seed financing and you can display to an investor that you know your unit economics, then you're in a winning position because it will set you apart from many other people. Okay, so what we then do with unit economics is that we then combine that with two things that we call TAM and SAM. And so if you can jump into the next slide. Okay, and this is where in the startup world, where we say the artistry lies. And so the TAM is the total addressable market of your product. And so, you know, it's basically the whole market for your product whether it's, in the globe or locally, depending on the product, there's different ways of measuring it. The SAM is the serviceable addressable market. And so this is basically the portion of the market that your product can service. And then your SOM, so TAM, SAM, and SOM, the SOM is your share of market. And so how much of that serviceable addressable market can your product actually realistically hope to service? So if you're launching a bank in Indonesia today, at most, your share of market you can be hoping for is maybe 5% at most realistically of the market. If you're launching a ride-hailing application, at most you can hope for, 5, 10, 15% of the market. And so it's important to be realistic about this. And so continuing on the textbook theme, if you can jump to the next one for me. So here, what I'm going to do is, so use the example of the textbooks to the kids. So your total addressable market, and so this would be the total value of textbooks sold, is $610 billion. Okay, let's just pretend for this example. Okay, but your serviceable addressable market, so let's say you're doing mathematics textbooks only. So your TAM, your total addressable market, total available market, sorry, is 610 billion. So that's the value of all textbooks sold, regardless of the topic. Your serviceable addressable market, if you're doing mathematics textbooks, that's the value of all mathematics textbooks sold in your market. And then your SOM, and so here with the SOM, I'll put in 6 billion. That's the share of the market that you could realistically grab. So let's pretend that that your textbook for mathematics is very good, and you're going to be selling them through, say, a Kumon or some distribution like that, and they have 10% of the market for mathematics textbooks. And so that's what you can expect the revenue for your textbooks to be. And so out of a total available market of 610 billion, you can then wind it down. So the share of market gets wound down to 6 billion. And so that's just an example there, very quick example of SAM, TAM, and SOM. Now, the other one is CAC to LTV. And so these are very, in the seed stage, you're having to make good judgment guesses on this, and then as the business grows, you're then able to then further, focus on them and work out from the empirical data. But more or less, your CAC is your customer acquisition cost. And so for each customer you put on, how much does it cost you? And so that could be something as simple as whether you're running word ads on Google, and so how much per click, whether you're providing a discount to the customer, whether you're partnering with somebody to then give them money to sell your product. It's how much that new customer costs. And then you combine that with the long-term value of that customer. And so the long-term value means over the lifetime of that customer, because once you've acquired that customer into your business, you can potentially keep selling to them. And so what you measure is the long-term value of the customer. A rule of thumb, I know in the fintech industry, a rule of thumb is you want to have about 10 times long-term value to CAC. And so if your customer acquisition cost is higher than your long-term value, then you're losing money. So it's costing you more to acquire the customer than what you're making out of the customer. So you either have to reduce your acquisition costs or increase your long-term value, typically both. But that's another figure that VCs, early stage VCs, really look for. In the early stage, in your seed stage, these would be estimated guesses or projections. As you go through the A, B, and C rounds, these would be more hard evidence. So definitely by the time you're in a B or a C round, you'd be expected to have enough customers to be able to calculate this accurately. There is some artistry in terms of the calculation. They're not strictly defined like we define with EBITDA and other accounting terms. That these are not as strictly defined, and they can depend on industry. But there are some very, very sharp analysts in working in VCs. And so my rule of thumb is you're always better off being honest. And if you're honest and wrong, then that's okay. But you should always try and calculate as honestly with your best judgment, and don't try and pump the numbers or make them look way better than what they are. If the numbers aren't to your liking, you just need to change what you're doing as opposed to changing the numbers. Okay. I just want to finish up. I know we're running out of time, so I just want to finish up about a couple of issues, and then I'll go on to how the industry is at the moment. So a couple of big issues here in the industry at the moment in Indonesia. So Indonesia has received a flood of money since about 2017. A flood of money is coming to Indonesia. What that means is that there's this whole new culture that's that people have kind of bought into, which is this hustler culture, where people are talking about you have to hustle, you have to be on guard 24 hours a day, you cannot take holidays, you cannot you just always have to be working. It doesn't work. Hustler culture is burnout culture. And if you're managing a startup or if you're managing a company, what you're going to find is that people stop making quality decisions. People need to have space. There's called second order thinking. And for second order thinking, which is where your brain comes up with great ideas, clever ideas, where you solve problems, where you're not just functioning, where you're actually really thinking, you need to be in a relaxed state, and you need to not have a lot of distractions, and you need to be well rested. And so hustler culture is not a successful culture. We need to treat people like human beings. The other issue is that particularly here in Indonesia, there's always in the foreground, there's always technology. So people will have an application or something like that. A good coder can make an application in their sleep. You can buy them online very cheaply. But in the background for processing and whatnot, a lot of tech companies still use manual labor because it's cheap. It's cheaper and easier just to get people processing paper in the background, as opposed to really putting in the management effort to using tech to automate something. And so it's an issue here where companies have scaled, and they've then found that their manual processes lead to errors, and that something that could have been fixed when the company was small scales into a bigger problem. The other one is that there's, as all this money is flooded into Indonesia, there's inexperienced people being put into management positions. And what we're seeing is that there's poor judgment in some of these companies about what they're doing, how they're doing it, unrealistic expectations. We're seeing in the tech industry here, there's an issue with tech talent here, where because there was such hot demand for tech talent, where there was a negative feedback or a proactive feedback to a tech employee, that tech employee was more likely to then jump companies to another company, as opposed to staying in their current company and learning and improving. The culture of the industry is that, well, I'm right, I'll finish university, I've got nothing else to learn, and they jump to other companies. Whereas, most grizzled professionals, but like myself, know that most of the learning you do in life happens after university. University teaches you some technical things, it teaches you, a lot, teaches you around socialization and many things, but professionals, especially technology professionals, really need to grow post-university. And here, because of that flood of money, there's a dearth of talent in the industry, and it created a culture where people weren't learning once they're in the industry. And so hopefully now that's rectifying itself, now the money's leaving. If we can jump to the next one, I'll just summarize the current state of the industry. And so basically, what was the case back in 2017, 18, even before that, was that you wouldn't have to be profitable early, so long as you were growing. Now it's very, very different. Now you need to be, the sooner you can hit profitability, the better. It doesn't matter how fast you grow, as long as you're profitable and you're not burning money. I had venture capitalists tell me back in 2020, they said to me, you need to burn $20 million of equity next year to grow to this level. And it was a very ambitious figure. And they said, we don't care, advertise, buy up media space, buy customers, heavily discount. You need to grow to that level and burn $20 million. And then you can raise more money. Thankfully, we didn't follow that advice because about 6 months later, the tech winter hit. And luckily, we'd saved most of our money because we kind of could feel that that was coming. And so, the whole industry changed from growth at all costs to profit. You now need to run a proper business that is profitable. So now the other issue that's affecting VCs is that last year the interest rates in the US went up. And why is this important here in Indonesia that the interest rates in the US went up? The reason is that previously interest rates in the US were close to zero. And so if you're an investor in the US and you want any sort of return on your investment, you have to go into alternatives. One of the best alternatives was venture capital. And so we saw, whilst interest rates were held at zero in the US, we saw all this money flooding into venture capital because it had nowhere else to go. Now interest rates are back on the rise, money's starting to flood back out. And so there's not as much money in the system to make all the investments. And so obviously with not as much money in the system, the demand for investments is lower, so the price of investments is lower. And so people, aren't as hungry to invest at all costs. And so they're being really, really picky about who they're investing in. On the flip side, for the startups themselves, those raising, seed capital and A and B round capital, previously we were really selective about making sure that the people investing money didn't just invest money, but opened doors for us. And in terms of either they invested money and then gave us a heap of debt, they invested money, gave us access to a system or a pathway. Within Queenworks, we did a deal with Telkomsel where we got access to all of the Telkomsel customers. That type of thing, there had to be a strategic value. Nowadays, companies are just raising what they can. If you have money, everybody's money is green, is what we would say in the US. And so higher due diligence hurdles, there's going to be much more consolidation in the industry, especially in the next 2 or 3 months. And then one last thing, people always ask me about crypto and DeFi and this sort of stuff. It's dead. So if you're having a startup that's focused on any sort of cryptocurrency, perhaps you're better off using your time for more productive purposes. The blockchain has many, many good uses, and you can use it for other good uses, for security monitoring, these sorts of things. Smart contracts are great. But in terms of a currency, crypto is dead. I just make the one exception when it comes to that, and that is Bitcoin. And so, and what I like to do, well, how I like to describe Bitcoin is Bitcoin is a lot like Coca-Cola in that Coca-Cola has zero nutritional value. It does not quench your thirst. It actually makes you thirstier. It actually damages you. It makes you unhealthy, pumps you full of sugar. It's really bad for you, but it's marketed. And there's always going to be a portion of the population who buy cola, who buy Coca-Cola, whether it's Coca-Cola or other cola. There's always going to be a small portion of the population that buy that. And so I always feel, and what I tell my friends and family is, have maybe 5% in Bitcoin. And then, personally, I wouldn't buy at anything above 30. I would sell above 30, buy below 20, but have 5%. And that's it, because it's like cola, where there's always going to be a portion of the population who, for some reason, believe in it, like currency is a religion, even though it's not. It's just a means of exchange. But there's always going to be that portion of the population who don't want to have their money sitting in a government-run fiat currency and whatnot. So from a tech side, from a startup side, don't waste your time with crypto. The metaverse is dead as well. Put your time. Blockchain's fine if you want to go down that road, but yeah. So crypto metaverse, it's dead. But 1 or 2 cryptocurrencies you can probably buy because of that cola effect. so that's the key thing now is profit early. Make sure your company's it's got a high high long-term value to customer acquisition cost. Make sure it's got positive unit economics. Make sure you as a manager are presenting yourself as strongly as you can be. And that's that's it from me. So thanks. I think we've run out of time.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Bruni, for a very enlightening presentation this morning. And I can take some points that are relevant, for me especially. That when we talk about in the very first stage of seed, in the seed stage, what I get from you is that every startup business should know themselves. So and you said that you need to think of how will you pitch yourself to the investors, and what are you doing to others not. That means we have to be positively different with the others, and then we can start ask ourselves about who are we and who are our customers and what are we going to sell and so on. And in the last presentation, you also tell us some suggestion on how on make quality decisions. Perhaps it should be based on data, fact, and careful discussion. And the interesting point is that profitability is the key. As long as you still need to create some money, even though it's a very small one. As far as you don't burn money. Is that true? Right?
You don't need to be profitable, but you need to know how you're going to get there very quickly.
Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Mark Bruni, for the presentation. So I guess now we have enough time. About how long do we have? 5 minutes? 15? 10 minutes. We have about 5 to 10 minutes for question and answer session. I welcome you all, the participants. If you have any things to share with Mr. Mark Bruni, whether you can speak directly or you can write it on the chat box. If you are Indonesian, perhaps you can speak or write in Indonesian, and I will try my best to translate your questions in English.
Kalau mau nanya di bahasa Indonesia nggak apa-apa. Silakan.
Very well. So you have been able to speak Indonesia very well.
It's okay. Masih belajar tapi udah okay. Udah lumayan.
Mantap. Mantul. Okay. Is there any questions from the Zoom meeting or in the YouTube? In the YouTube ada pertanyaan? Ada. Okay. All right. So the types of, wait, let me have a look at your presentation. The stage of investment that you mentioned in your presentation, is that the step that we have to follow, right? So we have to start from the angel investment, right?
There's no hard rule. Like it's not written into law. But typically, when you're starting a company, and it doesn't matter if you're doing a tech startup or you're starting like a kaki lima, you typically need to start with some money of your own, some savings money and this sort of thing. And then as your business grows, you bring in bigger and bigger investors. And so it's that concept where we've formalized that concept into angel investing, seed, A, B, C, D, rounds of investment. But really all that is showing is that you start off with small personal money from personal connections, and that kind of gradually transitions into money from venture capital and into private equity, and then eventually from either being bought out by a bigger company, a bigger fish in your sea, or listing on a stock exchange. But that's the underlying principle of it.
All right. So actually, perhaps this is, I don't know if this kind of investment is still unfamiliar with some of us, but in the very early stage of investment, does the investors expect something from the startups or kind of return or something, or what do they expect actually?
Yeah, so the early stage investors, and this is a benefit and a flaw in the industry. The early stage investors expect they'll typically exit at the latter stages, sometimes before a company is profitable. And so in between each funding round, you're usually going for about a 3x for your valuation. So if at a seed stage, you're valued at 10 million, at the A round, you want to be valued at 30. At the seed stage, if you're 20 million, at the A round, you're aiming for 60 million. And so that's how the early stage VC investors get their returns, is because they exit their investment at later stages. Sometimes they top up and keep riding the investment, but oftentimes they simply they'll invest in one round, hold it for 2 more funding rounds, and then exit. And so by that stage, they'll have like 9 times their initial investment value, and that 9 times covers all the investments that they've lost. And so for them, they need about 1 in 3 investments to be working.
All right. So suppose if the startup fail, they don't have to return the investment, right?
Correct. So this is what's very important. And there's a example of a company here where the individual who founded the company provided personal guarantees for everything. And so in that case, he got chased, and he's still being chased. But that person wasn't behaving well. But typically, yeah, it's just an equity investment. It's an investment into a separate legal entity, not into you personally. So it's it's ring fenced. And so if that money is lost, then the money is lost. And so long as there's no what we call, there's a concept in English law which applies to all the financial centers, where it's called as project sponsor. And a sponsor is personally liable for a project if there's any fraud. And so if there's no fraud, if the business just fails because it wasn't a good business or for whatever reason, then the business fails. There's no harm, no foul. And the VCs are used to that. To be a good VC, to be making money, you need lots of businesses failing. You need a few businesses succeeding and lots failing, because otherwise you're not taking enough risk.
Yeah, that's true. How many percents of the new startups that have early stage of investment can really be successful, according to your experience?
Yeah, so at the seed round, it's about 1 in 5. At the A round, it's about 1 in 3 can be successful. And then, but once they go past the B round, the chance of failure become very low. Usually it's because of fraud, or the management mismanages the company or something like that. But normally by the time they get to B round, they're normally safe. Even if they're burning money, they're normally safe. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah. But still, all the young generation here has the chance to be successful, right?
Oh, definitely. Everybody has a chance to be successful. So, we know the story of Elon Musk. Was just a kid from South Africa who jumped on a plane without any money to go to the US. So, and was working, forget where he was working, but he was doing a menial job laboring. So he put himself through university. So yeah, he's one of the world's richest men. So yeah, everybody has a chance.
Right. If there is no questions from the audience, I guess we can close this session. And Mr. Bruni, can you give us a closing speech or message to the young generation who become the participants of this program on how to be successful, especially in the funding process? Please.
Yeah. So firstly, I'd just like to thank the University Brawijaya for inviting me. It's an honor and a pleasure to come and talk here this morning. And I just want to leave everyone here, and hopefully because this is a summer program or a summer course, everyone here already gets it to some extent. But the best investment for people, regardless of their age, is to invest in themselves. And so what that means is always learn a new skill, learn something different. You never know when it will apply for a job situation or will apply for something. For example, when I was in high school, I was learning carpentry on the side, learning how to build houses and this sort of thing. And then the other day in the office, we had a cabinet break, and so I can then just quickly put it back together. And what's typically waiting for a tukang to come and fix it and whatnot, and we had investors coming in, could just be fixed within half an hour, and then we can get on with our life. So always invest in yourself. Just keep following what's interesting. Always make sure you're pushing ahead with something. You can't ever do nothing, but you don't have to be 100% on what you want to do. You just have to be doing something and keep learning, and eventually it will come together sooner or later. And so, yeah, so that's my advice to people. The best investment is to invest in yourself.
Okay, very powerful. Thank you very much. Keep learning, everyone. Yeah, you never know what kind of skills that will be useful for your future, because nobody knows the future, right? All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Bruni. See you again in the next session. I hope we can see each other, whether virtually or not virtually. But if we have any programs later, I hope you can participate in this in our program. Thank you very much, and see you. Have a good time, Mr. Bruni. And for all the audience, we will have a 5 minutes break before the next session. Please stay tuned. We will have a the last two sessions, before the business presentation for tomorrow. Thank you very much and goodbye. See you.
Good.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good 5-minute break. By the way, mabuhay, I am Charmaine Lace Pasqua, a faculty member of the College of Business and Management at Tarlac Agricultural University, Philippines. And I will be your moderator for this session. So with that said, allow me to remind you once again that at the end of the discussion, there will be Q&A portion, a question and answer portion, that you may simply click the raise hand button on the Zoom screen and speak directly to our speaker, or you may type in your question on the chat box and we will be reading the question for you. So you may have your pens and paper ready for any question that may arise during the discussion. So again, we will open the Q&A portion right after the discussion. I hope that's clear. Thank you. All right. At this juncture, it is my privilege to introduce to you our next speaker. Our speaker finished his Bachelor of Public Administration in Universitas Brawijaya, Indonesia. He also took his Master of Public Administration, major in Local Government Finance, and Doctor of Public Administration in the same institution. He also took his PhD in Public Policy in Flinders University, Australia. His fields of expertise and research interests are public finance, local government finance, budgeting at governmental institutions, and public administration and public policy. Currently, he is the head of Public Administration Department and lecturer of undergraduate, master, and doctoral program at Faculty of Administrative Science, Universitas Brawijaya. Moreover, he is also a consultant for governmental institutions at national and local level. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, to discuss to us the supporting policies of entrepreneurship in Indonesian context, let us all welcome Associate Professor Dr. Fadila Amin. A virtual round of applause, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It's very pleased to see you all virtually here, particularly Ms. Charmaine is a moderator this morning. Hopefully my pronunciation is correct when I mention your name. Charmaine,
Yes.
is it correct?
Charmaine, sir. Charmaine.
Charmaine. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay. Well, approximately for 45 minutes onward, I would like to briefly tell you all about the some kind of policies issued by Indonesian government to support the growth and also the sustainability of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship in Indonesia, particularly in the particular level. It's called micro, small, and medium enterprises, because like in Indonesia, talking about entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship, apparently it can be spirited from the role of micro, small, and medium enterprises, because it's already proven that this kind of business, this kind of enterprises is already survived from the bad impact, bad effect from pandemic that is just then happened a couple of years ago. And also it's already proven that is, let me tell you as well, that in the end of 90s, I think, there will be severe financial crisis occurred in Indonesia. It is already proven as well that is mostly the business that can survive at this particular time was community from the micro, small, and medium enterprises. So that's why, guys, the ladies and gentlemen, the participants of this forum, I would like to highlight some important policies issued by Indonesian government to significantly support the existence of MSME, I call it, something like that. And in Indonesia, usually we call it UMKM. It is, closely related. The meaning is exactly same with micro, small, medium enterprises. Ms. Charmin, give me maybe could you please inform me about my my voice? Can you hear my voice clearly or something?
Yes, Dr. Fadila, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you, excellent. Here we go. So from this figure, we can figure out that the now is the number of MSME, micro, small, medium enterprises is approximately 65.1 million entities. So it is really big number, right? So now, just the additional information that is the population of Indonesia currently more than 270 million. So approximately 20% or something. They built this kind of business in the micro, small, medium level, or something like this. So, and then the contribution to gross domestic product contributed by MSME itself is approximately 61.67%. So it is really significant contribution to the national income, right? So in terms of workers, in terms of employee hired by this kind of business, it's really fantastic number, because in here you can see that's around 97% of workers in Indonesia working at this kind of enterprises. And then also the investment in national investment intended or allocated for MSME reached around 60.42% in 2021 and 2022. However, on the other hand, unfortunately, the export capacity contributed by MSME is not is a little bit lower, I think, in my point of view, because it is still on the level of 14.37%. And then also utilization of e-commerce by MSMEs still have to be encouraged more and more, because currently still in the level of 21%. But it is already significantly increased from the previous maybe 5 years ago. That is, the utilization of e-commerce is was still under 10%. So I guess in the next future years or something like that, it will be significantly grow the utilization of e-commerce by MSME. So that's why, again, have a look, and also considering the really significant role of the SMSE, micro, small, and medium enterprises. So Indonesian government issued some supporting policies intended exclusively, or also even though not exclusively, intended to the community of micro, small, and medium enterprises. So in this very limited time that I have, around approximately 45 minutes to present this material. So I just would like to highlight the some important policies that I can group into 4 categories in here. So first is policies called national economic recovery. In Indonesia, we usually called as pemulihan ekonomi nasional, something like that. This because I would like to highlight a little bit later what is the profile of the national economic recovery policy itself. And then also there is a policy called Go Global and Go Digital, and also other supporting policies. That is, again, some policy that is exclusively intended to support the growth of MSME, and also it is embedded with other intention, other objectives actually. But again, the objective to boosting the growth of MSME is still become the priority of this policy. So here we go. We move on the first policies. The first policy is called National Economic Recovery Policy, and we can say NERP. Again, in Indonesian language, we usually call it as the kebijakan pemulihan ekonomi nasional. Pemulihan ekonomi nasional. It has become trend after we will be survive from the very bad crisis due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So just briefly inform to you all that national economic recovery policy is in general is policy issued to accelerate economic recovery from the crisis due to COVID-19 pandemic. So we already know, I think, that is because of COVID-19 pandemic, which is initially it was just the health issues, but unfortunately in the very short term, this bad negative effect of the COVID-19 is also hit not only on the health sector, but social, economic, even politic in some extent also get affected by this kind of pandemic. So that's why from the 2021, Indonesian government issued this kind of policies called PEN in bahasa Indonesia, Pemulihan Ekonomi Nasional. On we can convert it to English, become a National Economic Recovery Policy. So this, in general, this kind of policy get allocated approximately 40 to 26% of national annual budget of Indonesia. You know, like the national budget of Indonesia annually approximately a little bit more than 2,000 trillion rupiah. Yeah, maybe it is a little bit struggle to you all for non-Indonesian person, non-Indonesian people, how to imagine how much it is, because yeah, 2,000 more than 2,000 trillion rupiah. So I just informed you that if you convert to US dollar, for each one US dollar is yeah, equals to approximately 15,000 rupiah, something like that. So it is just a little bit brief guidance for you to figure out the this kind of number, this kind of amount. So again, nationally, approximately nearly 900 trillion rupiah. This really huge amount. It is allocated for national economic recovery policy, and then from this that amount, 30% of funds allocated to national economic recovery policy get allocated to support small, micro, small, and medium enterprises, in order that they can survive from this kind of pandemic, and then keep contributing for the macroeconomic of Indonesia. Because, you know, like, again, let me a little bit back, because Indonesia authorities like really consider about the future of 90% of workers in Indonesia who work at this kind of enterprises. So that's why Indonesian government is totally focused on this kind of entrepreneurs. Well, so it is additional information regarding the policies called National Economic Recovery Program. It is policy, and then breakdown into some programs in here. And then the connection between National Economic Recovery Program and micro, small, and medium enterprises itself. So in 2021, amount of fund of National Economic Recovery Program allocated to MSME reached 116.2 trillion rupiah. While the number of beneficiaries, I mean the MSME community that utilize this kind of funds, approximately around 34.59 million enterprises. So really big number in here. So in 1 year later, in 2020, 2022. The amount of funds intended to MSME significantly increased as well, reached into 178.3 trillion rupiah. So while the number of beneficiaries reached into 36.1 million, even though it is still tentative number, because I get this number, the number is released before the end of year 2022. So it is possibly increase or decrease from this kind of number for the real number of the beneficiaries. So again, the policy variant for MSME under the scheme of National Economic Recovery Program. So Indonesian government provides subsidy for bank interest. So it is intended to the MSME community who have this kind of loan or debt from bank. So the interest of this loan will be it's already subsidized by Indonesian government. And also validation to get a loan from bank by guarantee from the government, because in the pandemic, maybe last year and 2 years ago, starting 2020, 2020. Sometimes the trust of bank to the business community is significantly decreased, right? Because of the uncertainty condition and so on and so forth. So that's why the response of Indonesian government to resolve this kind of phenomena, they give a guarantee to the banks that credit proposal proposed by MSME community is guaranteed by government. So the banks will not worried anymore, for example. So they keep giving credit or loan or to this kind of business. And also cash aid for micro and small enterprises. So like a very small business that is run by the owner itself, or maybe with a very small capital, and also very what is it called? Very small capital, something. The Indonesian government is already identified and give them kind of cash assistance, cash aid during this pandemic. I'm not sure whether in 2023 this kind of policy is still executed by Indonesian government. So also waiving electricity and water bill. So in this case, the electricity and water bill directly paid by the government. So against the for the micro, small, and medium enterprises, when they are very worried, they were very worried because of the effect of pandemic. They still not have additional burden because they will not think about the paying electricity and water bill and so on. And also there is a presidential aid as well, special for micro scale business. Presidential aid. Sorry, it is my mistake to have a miss it word in here. Sorry. Yeah, there is presidential aid special for micro scale business. Also facilitating income tax. So So income tax that usually around it is depend on the omset of the business. Like in Indonesia, approximately for the 0 to 60 million, the income tax will be 5%, and then 60 million to 200 million will be 15%. Yeah, more than 200. 60 to 200 million is 10%, I guess, or something like that. And then more than 200 until 500 million, if you have omset something like or income something like that, will be charged for 15, and more than 500 million income will be charged 25% or something like that. So in this case, the income tax will be subsidized by Indonesian government. So it is very, very helpful anyway, because the community of entrepreneurs in the level of micro, small, and medium not get dizzy because of the income tax and so on. So we move on to the second policy is called Go Global. Well, so in this situation, yeah, Indonesian government really aware that Indonesian entrepreneurs face various obstacles to take role in global level. So why it is become they face kind of problem and difficulties and so on, because mostly the micro, small, and medium enterprises in Indonesia lack of knowledge concerning foreign market. So they don't know, and as very, very limited information come to them regarding the potential market in abroad, something like that. And then also consistency of product quality and capacity. It is really concerning as well, because sometimes we need consistency in terms of quality and capacity, because if we fail to provide kind of good quality and good consistent in terms of capacity or something, the trust will be decrease, will be lower to our business or something like that. So also to conduct this kind of international trading, usually our partner, international partner, require kind of certificate that it will be guarantee for our business that we are able to conduct international trading, international business, and so on. So mostly for the 64 million MSME in Indonesia, yeah, mostly maybe only 10%, or maybe even less than 10%, they have already the international certificate to conduct international trading. So it is again become significant barriers to take a role or take part in the international activities. Well, and also logistic and financial issues. So that's why to handle this kind of obstacle in terms of financial issues and so on, Indonesian government, I already briefly issued just then that some schemes already introduced by Indonesian government to help, to assist the existence and also the sustainability of the business in the for the MSME community. So that's why, considering this kind of fact that MSME in Indonesia mostly lack of knowledge concerning foreign market consistency in terms of product quality and capacity, international certificate, logistic and financial issues, and so on. So in light of this, the Indonesian government, through Ministry of Trade and MSME, issued a policy, namely Go Global. Yeah, this is what. So what the policy is this actually? So in here, Indonesian authorities support entrepreneurs in the MSME to compete in international level by applying numerous strategies. Under the Go Global policy, there are some programs implemented to help or to assist these MSME communities. So first is it's called Kreasi Nusantara. Nusantara is the other name of Indonesia actually. So Kreasi is creation. So in here the tagline is from local Go Global. So in here, Indonesian government facilitates MSME, micro, small, and medium enterprises to sell product to Malaysia and Singapore. Why Malaysia? Because Malaysia is our neighbor. So maybe a lot of Malaysian people have same taste with Indonesian community, something like that. So that's why Malaysia become the potential market, and also Singapore. Why Singapore? Because Singapore is like big gate to big door to do global trading, global transaction, global business, and so on and so forth. So that's why it is also a very potential market as well in Singapore. And then first is, and then the second is Buka Global. It is also Buka Global. It is also again the tagline is globally open or open globally. In here, Indonesian government assists SMME to sell their communities to other than Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. So it is there is some types of communities that is intended to this kind of program. And then also ASEAN Online Sale Day. It intends to boost a transaction of MSME product with all ASEAN countries. So ASEAN countries, I guess, around 11 or 12 at the moment. The number the number of the ASEAN members. Also in here, the fourth program under the Go Global policy, Indonesian authorities through the Ministry of Trading and MSME. Yeah. So you can see like because of a very important role of micro, small, and medium enterprises, Indonesian government they set up the ministry exclusively take care of this MSME themselves. So it is very serious attempt, serious effort to enhance the growth of MSME, not only in national level, also regional and also global level. So through the global value chain and global e-commerce, yeah. So in here, in this particular context, Indonesian government integrate related sectors to escalate global competitiveness capacity of micro, small, and medium enterprises. So a lot of sectors, bank, governmental sectors, international institution, and so on and so forth. It's get already integrated by a particular agency built by Indonesian government to facilitate the MSME in order to be able to take part and to take role more in the global activities. So the third thing, the third policy is go digital. We already briefly know about the National Economic Recovery Program, the first one, and then the second one, go global, and then the third one is go digital. So go digital is like digitalization of MSME. Yeah, intends to expand market and also to boost competitiveness of MSME and their commodities. So again, we know that is currently the internationally transaction that don't have to conduct it manually by face-to-face meeting or something like that. So it can be handled by the digital technology, something like that. So in here there is Indonesian government already issued the program called e-farming. E-farming is kind of program utilizing digital technology in agricultural business to increase production capacity and cost efficiency. You know, like Indonesia has more than 17,000 islands, right? And then again, as I already mentioned before, that Indonesia has a population more than 270 million, more than that number. And then around 60-something percent of this population, Indonesian population, they have business in the agricultural sectors, because Indonesia is basically is still in what is it, the economic of Indonesian people, Indonesian citizens, mostly in the farming area, something like that. So that's why it is e-farming is kind of intervention of Indonesian authorities to facilitate MSME to get involved in the global trading, global transaction, and so on and so forth. And also not only that thing, because the product of agricultural activities, mostly it is in terms of economic perspective. It is very challenged to manage the capacity of product, because you know, like agricultural product is really depends on really depend on the circumstance of the when the harvest season or something like that. There are a lot of farming communities, agricultural communities, that is the harvest season is only once a year, on maybe twice a year, and some product can be found every year. But mostly, if the for particular products that the harvest season is same time, there's usually the capacity of product at that particular time is so big number, right? So the volume of this particular product is really big. So obviously, automatically, when the harvest season at that time, the price of this particular commodity automatically get down. So the consequence of this particular situation is for the farmer is not really good situation for the farmers, because when they get harvest and then they expect a lot of benefit can go in their pocket, but unfortunately because at a particular time the amount of the volume of this community really huge at this particular time, the supply get increased, so automatically the price get down. So that's why it is kind of intervention of conducted by Indonesian government to help the farmer communities to sustain survive their business from this kind of difficult situation, and also to boost the to sell their product not only in a national scope, national level, but also in the regional and also the international level. And then the second scheme from under the Go Digital policy is e-commerce. In this particular situation, the Indonesian government strengthened a reputation of MSME in global market through digital marketing. So again, digital marketing is very significant at the moment, because have a look the brief report of business conducted by MSME that maybe you all participants can get a report in anywhere, any source through online in internet or something like that. Mostly the digital marketing is very useful to help the any business actually. But in this context, we talk about the micro, small, and medium enterprises. So based on this kind of report, they mostly never have offline meeting or face-to-face meeting before with their international partner. But again, digital marketing very helpful, very useful to connect each other. Yeah, the producer and customer within globally. You know, like the product of Indonesia is called Indomie or something. I really surprised when yesterday I met with my friend from Nigeria. He told me that in Nigeria has the biggest factory of Indomie in Africa or something like that, and then they really know that it is Indonesian product. Okay, and then e-financing, it is like simplifying financial transaction by using digital application. It's a lot of application. It's called Curies or something like that, issued by for MSME. Okay. Okay, 5 minutes more. Okay. Thank you for the gentle reminder, Ms. Jermaine. So 3 pillars of developing MSME through digitalization is actually the objective of Go Digital, something like that. This intends to escalate capacity of production, as I already mentioned just then, and then efficiency of cost and production process, and also market expansion into global level. This again can be significantly contributed by digital technology, and then the Indonesian government really aware of this phenomena. That's why digitalization is can be postponed a little bit further or postponed anymore. So that's why if the MSME want to be exist in the national or even international level, they have to familiar with this kind of technology, digital technology. So again, the last policies that I would like to introduce. So last but not least, there are some schemes of policy as well. So first is the number from the number lot of number of policies to support the existence or also the growth of MSME, micro, small, and medium enterprises. In this context, Indonesian authorities through Ministry of Trade and UMKM, Trade and MSME, enhance partnership with big scale business. So that's why this Ministry of Trade and MSME affairs, they already identified the like conglomerate or really giant business or something, giant enterprises operated in Indonesia that they are willing to have partnership with small, micro, small, and medium enterprises. So it will be very good if they can have partnership. Obviously, the benefit will be more good to the MSME community. And also, the other supporting policy that is already conducted by issued by Indonesian government is facilitating issuance of business license. So in nowadays, in this particular time, it is very easy for Indonesian people to propose kind of license to start their business, because there are some facilities called OSS, online single submission or something. It is very with the minimum requirement or something like that. It intends to make easy everything regarding the issuance of business license proposed by small business. And everything is free. There is no cost at all. So that's why it is very useful as well. And then Indonesian government continuously provide numerous training needed by MSMEs, like the capacity building for the staff working at MSME, or maybe in how to manage financial thing, how to manage market expansion, how to produce the good quality, how to conduct the international transaction utilizing digital technology and so on and so forth. So that's why it is. Okay, we already end up with this the end of our presentation, and thanks, but hopefully not really beyond of the time allocated for me, and also apologize if my presentation will be more than expected time. Okay, Ms. Charmaine, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fadilla, for that very comprehensive discussion on supporting policies for entrepreneurship in the Indonesian context. So before I share my personal takeaway with your discussion, Dr. Fadilla, again, I would like to remind all our participants that if you do have questions, you may simply click the raise hand button on the Zoom screen and speak directly to Dr. Fadilla, or you may type in your question on the chat box and we will be reading the question on your behalf. Thank you. So as I was saying, my personal takeaway is that indeed, MSMEs are crucial to the development of the Indonesian economy, and for sure you do agree with that. And therefore, it is the government's legal responsibility to ensure their development and sustainability with its supporting policies. As you discussed, Dr. Fadila, Indonesia has the National Economic Recovery Policy, the Go Global Policy, Go Digital Policy, and the like, which are truly relevant to the changing environment. So thank you very much once again for shedding light on these policies to us, Dr. Fadila. And now the floor is open for your questions. Anyone from our 70 participants in the room, do you have any questions? All right, we do have question from Tri Yumarni. I hope I did pronounce your name correctly. She said, my question is how to improve the quality of the MSMEs product in Indonesia so it will be available to survive and win the international competition. What kind of policies that have been implemented by the government of Indonesia regarding this issue, and what is the result so far?
Okay, so I can be directly respond or something? Sure. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Julie, Dr. Tri Marni. So thank you for the question. And to improve the quality of the products, it is very, very challenging actually. So because you know, and we really know that the international market is really sensitive with this kind of issues. It is quality, product quality. So that's why in the last screen, I think I already briefly mentioned that Indonesian government provide a lot of training provided exclusively or non-exclusively for MSME community. One of this kind of training intends to improve the product quality produced by MSME. So this kind of training usually conducted regularly and also free for all business community, particularly coming from the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Obviously, to be able to be eligible to get involved in this particular, or to utilize this opportunity to get to join in the training or something, they have to be registered. They have to be registered institution. Have to be registered enterprises, and also because if we our enterprise, for example, is not registered, officially registered by government, it's very difficult to get this kind of facilitation. So that's why to have the good data, Indonesian government continuously, regularly to update this kind of data as well, and then keep encouraging the MSME community to register their business to the government, both in national level to the Ministry of Trade and MSME, and also to the local government under the service of Relation Affairs, something like that. So I think it is this kind of strategy as well. And then also for this particular time, I repeat again that no need to provide kind of cost or maybe fees or something like that. It's usually totally free for the MSME. So it is very, very easy to get this kind of training, and also then, and usually not only training, usually it is sustainable, what is it like, it's called pendampingan in bahasa Indonesia. So assistant, yes, sustainable assistant. So anytime we this kind of people running their business face this kind of difficulty or something, they can consult to their mentor, something like this. So they're mostly provided by government as well. So it is very, very, very again, very useful and very, very meaningful to assist the MSME to survive their business. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, thank you, Ms. Tri Yumarni, for that question. So do we have other questions? Okay, Dr. Fadila, while the others are thinking of what to ask you, I do have a question here.
Okay.
How important is it that the government provide a conducive environment for the emergence of entrepreneurship? How important is it that the government provide a conducive environment for the emergence of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it is very, very, very important in my point of view, of course, because you know, entrepreneurship become the good solution for Indonesian is already proven from the previous experiences. You know, Indonesia, I mentioned again, has big number of population, and then one problem that have to be handled by Indonesian government is how to provide kind of work job for this big number of people. Otherwise, Indonesian people will be jobless and then incomeless or something like this. It will be trapped in the poverty again. So that's why. And then the ability, the capacity of Indonesian government to provide this kind of job in the governmental institution, governmental area is very limited, right? Very limited. So that's why the solution is how to provide job opportunity, work opportunity created by people itself. So that's why a lot of incentive is already issued to Indonesian communities, Indonesian people to start or to run, to build their business. So in order to hire a lot of big number of Indonesian workers, so they can have a job, automatically they will have income, they can improve their life, and so on and so forth. So it is really important, the emergence of entrepreneurship in Indonesia. So that's why, as I only mentioned as well, because Indonesia realized that it's very, very important. The ministry that is previously named only Ministry of Trade and Industry now become Ministry of Trade and MSME, something like that. So it is indicate the serious effort, serious attempt of Indonesian government to promote entrepreneurship within Indonesian community. Something like that. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Fadil. Another question from Mr. Wilnar D. Clarido from Northwest Samar State University, Calbayog City, Samar, here in the Philippines. What are the biggest challenges to being an entrepreneur?
Okay. First is like confidence. Confidence, that is, it is the big challenge. The confidence of the people to start running business. Because if they are not confident with themselves that they will be successful to run or to start their business, they will not do anything to start their business. So confidence and then also the optimistic that they will be successful in the future with their business. It's very, very important. It is the starting point that have to be introduced to all beginners of the who will start or who will run their own business. And also the first is lack of capital. Usually after they have intention to start the business or something, the first obstacle is about the capital, particularly the financial capital, something like that. Because it's very, after we survived from the pandemic just then, a lot of in recent cities and more than 5 million in national level, even more maybe lost job, lost income or something like that. So that's why it is very challenging to finance their business. It is the second thing. And also the third aspect is the third factor is that they don't have any proper knowledge in terms of market, how to sell their product, because it is already a lot of experiences that the small business already successfully to produce good products, but they find difficulties when they have to sell their product. So slowly their business get bankrupt because they fail to sell their product. So that's why assistance from the Indonesian government, other than increase the quality of their product, also to guide MSME community how to sell their product, either nationally or also internationally, and something like that. So again, the other factors is about the how to enter the international market virtually using the digital technology or something like that. So it is some kind of obstacle or something, the biggest challenges of Indonesian citizen, Indonesian people to become entrepreneur or something like this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Fadila. So we are to be confident, be optimistic, and have the proper knowledge of the market. All right. So thank you all very much for your cooperation, most especially to Ms. Tri Yumarni and Mr. Wilnard Clarido. And once again, Dr. Fadila, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence, sir. Thank you. We are now done with our 8th session. The 9th is up next with one of the most competent instructors of the College of Business and Management here at Tarlac Agricultural University, Ms. Kimberly M. Pascasio as our speaker, and Ms. Edlin Kurotul Aini as our moderator. So everyone, see you in 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you once again, Dr. Fadila.
Thank you. Thanks, you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon you all. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you that you are still joined with us in the third session of this summer course in the third day. And my name is Edrin Kuratulaini. You can call me Edrin. I will be the moderator for the third session. I'm very pleased to see you here and welcome to our summer course program. Okay, as stated in the schedule, this session will discuss about supporting policies for entrepreneurship in the Philippine context. We have heard from the previous session about supporting policies for entrepreneurship in Indonesian context, and I think it will be beneficial to learn from the Philippine context. So it will be a comparison about the both of the nation. Okay, and then to speak about that, I will invite Miss Kimberly M. Pascasio. How are you, Miss?
Hello, ma'am. Good day. I'm feeling great today, and I would love to share our policies here in the Philippines.
Okay, thank you for joining with us, Miss Kimberly. Miss Kimberly Pastasio is a lecturer of Tarlac Agricultural University, Philippines. She finished his bachelor's degree at the Faculty of Business Administration, Tarlac Agriculture University, Philippines, and her master's degree at St. Louis University. Her research and teaching areas focus on entrepreneurship, business marketing, organization and management, the entrepreneurial mind, and business plan. And she is speaker in the various events about the entrepreneurship. Before the presentation begin, let me inform how the presentation will be going on. First is the presentation of the material is about 45 minutes. And the second is question and answer session in about 15 minutes. Now, allow me to welcome the speakers, Ms. Kimberly M. Pastasio, to deliver his presentation. Ms. Kimberly Pastasio, time is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Ma'am Adley. So good morning to everyone, to all the faculty, staff, employees, and students who are with us today. Good morning. I am Kimberly Pascasio from the College of Business and Management, Tarlac Agricultural University. Please allow me to share with you the policies and programs that we have here in the Philippines to support entrepreneurship and help entrepreneurs grow. But before I go on with my discussion, I have a question to our audiences. With all the learnings and knowledge that you gained during the previous sessions, were you able to generate a good business ideas? So can you please comment down at our chat box all those business ideas that you have in mind? Can you please comment to our chat box? So the world deserves to see your great ideas. So let us see your great ideas. Can you please comment and let us see your business ideas? So during the past sessions, you were able to learn how to generate business ideas, different business models. So I'm sure and I believe that you have great business ideas right now. Can you please share to us your business ideas? Can you comment that to our chat box? So we are waiting for your comments, business ideas, so you can share to us. So any business ideas that you can share to us? How about our students from Indonesia? So what business ideas you have in mind right now?
please, the audience, maybe you can chat in the box if you cannot speak directly.
All right. So I think they reserve their business ideas tomorrow for their business presentations. So, we encourage you to become entrepreneurs, not just, of course, to earn money, but because this is a good opportunity for you to help and serve your country by creating products that will give solutions to people's problems, by providing more job opportunities and help boost the economy of your country. Well, in fact, here in the Philippines, small businesses has a very big important role to the economic development of our country. So MSMEs comprise 99.5% of business establishments in the Philippines and are employing approximately 63% of the country's workforce. So in the past years, MSMEs were responsible for 40% of the country's gross domestic product. As what Dr. Fadila said, in Indonesia, MSMEs provides 97% of their total workforce. So just imagine your big contributions to the economic development of your country if you start your business one of these days. So those business ideas that you have in mind, please push that business ideas into reality and know that you're not alone, because our government, and of course your government, also offers various programs to help your business grow, such as product development consultations, mentorships, and other assistance that I will discuss in the following slides. So, recognizing that MSMEs have the potential for more employment generation and economic growth, and therefore can provide a self-sufficient industrial foundation for the country, our government has come up with various programs to encourage the growth and development of MSMEs. And one of these programs is the Magna Carta for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, or otherwise known as the Republic Act 9501. This act promotes entrepreneurship in the Philippines by strengthening development and assistance programs to micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises in the country. So how do you know if you can avail the program under this act? Or how do you know if your business falls under the small, medium, or micro enterprises? So let's first define MSMEs. So according to the Magna Carta for Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, MSME shall be defined as any business activity or enterprise engaged in industry, agribusiness, or services, whether single proprietorship, partnership, cooperatives, or corporations, whose total assets must have value falling under the following categories. So if your business total asset value is 1 to 3 million pesos, then you are considered a micro enterprise. But if your business total asset value is 3 million and 1 to 15 million pesos, then you are a small enterprise. And if your business total asset value is 15 million and 1 to 100 million pesos, then you are already a medium enterprise. So if your business falls under these categories, congratulations, because you are qualified to avail the assistance and incentives under Republic Act 9501. All right. So to effectively spur the development and growth of MSMEs, our government implemented the Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprise Development Council. So this council exists to initiate pilot programs to spur development among MSMEs, formulate implementing guidelines and operating principles, and explore networks to source out funds for relevant activities and negosyo centers or business centers. So the Council, as stipulated in Section 7 of RA 9501, otherwise known as the Magna Carta for MSMEs, the Council is primarily tasked with the promotion, growth, and development of MSMEs by facilitating and closely coordinating national efforts to promote their viability. The Council is attached and headed by the Department of Trade and Industry, or otherwise known as the DTI Philippines. DTI is the primary agency in the promotion and development of MSMEs through the provisions of various incentives and interventions. So DTI offers different programs to help the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And one of these is the Small and Medium Enterprise Roving Academy, or otherwise known as SMERA. SMERA is a partnership and mentorship with the DTI, where business owners participating in the program get paired with a counselor and an expert who advises them on training and business development services they may need. So any business owner can get help from SMERA. They just simply contact the DTI's Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development at bsmed.dti.gov.ph. Mentorship is an invaluable resource for any entrepreneur, whether you get the guidance from books or direct advice from other people. Mentorship like SMERA can help you make a better business owner. So another program of the Department of Trade and Industry is the Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pag-Asenso, which means Fund for Change and Growth. So one big problem for new MSME entrepreneurs is quick access to capital, and this is very true. But of course, the government solved this with the Pondo sa Pagbabago at Pag-Asenso program, or commonly known as the P3. So under P3, owners of micro-enterprises with asset size not exceeding 3 million pesos can borrow from 5,000 pesos up to 200,000 pesos, enough to get them started on a small business from the DTI with a low interest rate of 2.5% per month. On top of this, P3 also provides business owners with external financial knowledge for their own benefit. So a P3 loan is accessible to all Filipino micro-enterprise owners and budding entrepreneurs. So once you're ready, simply download and fill up the application form on the Small Business Corporation website at www.sbgfc.org.ph and submit it to any SBC office or DTI negosyo centers. So the next program of Department of Trade and Industry is the Kapatid Mentor Me. By the way, kapatid means a sibling, a brother, a sister, or your best ally. So the DTI's Kapatid Mentor Me program provides MSMEs free education and training, and then assist them by linking them to bigger companies. So this government program gives both established and new business owners in the Philippines the necessary knowledge, advice, skills, and connections to run and grow their business. So the Kapatid Mentor Me consists of three main components. The first one is a 12-week program that covers the following modules. So we have the product development, operations management, accounting, taxation, finance and obligations, contracts, and marketing. So upon completing these modules, the mentees then showcase what they've learned during the 12-week program through business presentation. So the next component of the Kapatid Mentor Me is the Shared Service Facility Program, which links these micro-entrepreneurs to shared service facilities, such as equipment, systems, and tools in their community. So this is especially important if you don't have the capital to acquire your own service facilities. Just take note that each shared service facility is under a shared system. It's not given to only one MSME owner. It can be used by local government units, associations, and even academic institutions. So here in Central Luzon, where Tarlac is located, DTI established a total of 310 shared service facilities. And through this program, MSMEs have developed their products and are now worthy to be showcased in the regional, national, and international trade fairs. And of course, the last component of the Kapatid Mentor Me is the inclusive business model, which slots the small businesses into larger companies' value chains. So this basically guarantees the MSME with work in a market that requires their products or services. All right, so the next program, another program of the Department of Trade and Industry is the Go Local. Okay, so this program aims to bring locally made products to Go Local partner stores and retail establishments all over the Philippines, such as Ayala Malls, Rustan's, Duty Free, Robinson's Malls, and a lot more. So the access that Go Local can give is best for MSMEs with unique products looking for a broader market, especially those made from regional and local traditions. Okay, so another government policy is the barangay micro business enterprises. So recognizing that micro businesses keep a lot of communities thriving, especially in remote and suburban areas, the government signed the Barangay Micro Business Enterprises Law in 2002. This law promotes the establishments of barangay micro business enterprises in the Philippines and provides incentives and benefits such as income tax exemption, minimum wage law exemption, and access to financial, infrastructural, marketing, and knowledge support from the government. So if you register your business under the Barangay Micro Business Enterprise, you are exempted to income tax and minimum wage law, provided that you meet the following criteria. First, it's under production. Your business is under the production, processing, manufacturing, trading, and services. Your total assets business assets should be less than 3 million pesos, excluding the value of the land. You are not duly licensed professional, and it's not a branch or franchise of a large-scale enterprise. So another government policies for the young ones like us, the millennials. So we have the Youth Entrepreneurship Act, or the RA 10679. So this Republic Act mandates the Department of Trade and Industry and MSME Development Council to implement a national program to promote youth entrepreneurship development. So as a response, the Youth Entrepreneurship Program, or YEP, was launched as a focused program to address the young demographics of the country to become productive individuals through entrepreneurship. I just want to share with you that one of the beneficiaries of the Youth Entrepreneurship Program of the Department of Trade and Industry are our BS Entrepreneurship students. As you can see here, they attended the trade fair of the Department of Trade and Industry, wherein they were able to showcase their products, and they were got featured by the local media. So through these interventions, through the government policies, supporting policies we have here in the Philippines, our students were able to improve their products. And now they are enjoying the fruits of their labor. Some of them are already earning 50,000 to 60,000 pesos during their 7 months business implementation. And not just that, they are already giving back to the community through the payment of their corresponding taxes. So the Youth Entrepreneurship Act is composed of 3 components. The first one is the Youth Start, and the Youth Net, and the last one is the Youth Match. Okay, which represents the 7 M's DTI strategy for MSME development. So we have here the mindset change, mastery, mentoring, money, machines, market access, and models of business. So let's first talk about the youth start. So under the youth start, to encourage the millennials, the youth, to start their own business or grow their business ventures. So they implemented different interventions or programs such as entrepreneurship seminar and skills training, business registration assistance, business or franchise opportunities, and business ideas. So this component focuses on mindset change and models of business of the DTI 7M strategy for MSME development. The next one is the Youth Net, which means networking with industry leaders through membership of local chambers and youth entrepreneurs club. So under this component, our Department of Trade and Industry provides different interventions like mentoring sessions, networking activities, assistance on establishing young entrepreneurs organization. So this component focuses on mastery of business concepts and strategies, as well as providing mentoring support to young entrepreneurs. The last component of the Youth Entrepreneurship Program is the Youth Match. Highlighted under this component are money, provision of machines, and market aspects of the 7M's framework. So DTI provides different interventions under this component, such as business pitching, business matching, trade fair participation, and business expansion opportunities. So who are the beneficiaries of this youth entrepreneurship program? So YEP targets the youth organizations, in-school youth, indigenous youth, youth with disabilities, and not in education, employment, or training. So provided that their age is between 18 to 30 years old. So those are the main programs of our government for new entrepreneurs or for micro, small, and medium enterprises. So I only highlighted here, there are a lot of different programs that our government offers to MSMEs, but I only highlighted those important programs for new entrepreneurs like you. So to end my presentation, I will leave you with my favorite quote. The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today. So don't be afraid to take risks and start your business ventures because you are not alone. There are a lot of government agencies, organizations that are very willing and ready to help you start your business. So thank you. Once again, I'm Kimberly Pascasio from Tarlac Agricultural University. And if you want to visit the Philippines soon, you are always welcome to our country. Thank you, salamat, and terima kasih.
Thank you, Miss Kimberly, for the interesting and interesting presentation and a lot of information that we already get about the policies for the entrepreneurship in the Philippine setting. Maybe for the audience, now I will open the question and answer session. You can ask directly to the speaker by pressing the raise hand button on your screen, or simply write the question in the chat box. For now, I will take one direct question and one question from the chat. Okay, maybe is there any audience, ladies and gentlemen, want to ask some question? Oh, this is from Miss Triyumarni already had the first question in the chat box. I will read loud for the Miss Triyumarni from via UB, Administration Science of Faculty. My question are, what is the biggest problem faced by the MSMEs in Philippines? That's the first one. And the second, SMERA, P3 and other projects are interesting programs to develop MSMEs in Philippines and may will be very helpful to empower SMMEs from the initial process like designing business to the end, such as marketing from all the projects, are they support each other. And for example, one business can access more than one project or done one by one. And which program gave the most success in developing MSMEs in Philippines? And then there is the second question. Maybe for the Miss Kimberly, want to answer the first question, or I continue first for the second question?
All right, thank you for the question. So from Mari, your question is, what is the biggest problem faced by MSMEs in the Philippines? You know, getting starting capital is usually the hurdles for entrepreneurs, as banks won't lend them because they are just new business owners. And this leads to fear that their loans won't be paid. So this is usually the challenge for MSMEs on how to get a starting capital. But of course, our government also offers different programs. They have different partners from the microfinance institutions where they can get capital to start their business. Thank you, Mari, for your question.
Thank you for the answer, Miss Kimberly. Okay, and then the second one for the question from Agnes Sabrina. I want to ask, how's the development of startup business among young generation in Philippines now? Are there many students start their own business now? And the second, does the Philippine authority provide easy access funding to business created by students or young generation? This is from Agnes Sabrina. Okay, for Miss
All right,
Kimberly.
for the second question of Mari, which program gained the most success in developing MSMEs in the Philippines? It's the Youth Entrepreneurship Act, or the Youth Entrepreneurship Program of the Department of Trade in Industry, because they produce a lot of graduates, lots of organizations, youth organizations that now are successful business owners. Just like our students here at Tarlac Agricultural University, all their businesses are registered to the Department of Trade and Industry. And now they will be graduating with their own businesses. And they can also share that knowledge, all those knowledge that learned through to other young ones or other young entrepreneurs club. So the Youth Entrepreneurship Program produce a lot of successful entrepreneurs today. Right? So for the next question, so how's the development of startup business among young generation in the Philippines now? Are there many students start their own business now? Yes. Just like what I said, our BS entrepreneurship students, all of them are registered and being guided by our Department of Trade and Industry, and they're already paying their taxes. Okay, so next question, does the Philippine Authority provide easy access funding to business created by students or young generations? So our government has a lot of partners, microfinancing institution partners that provides capital to our young entrepreneurs with a minimum low interest rates. And through this, I cannot give you the exact number, but there are a lot of students and young generations that are successful now through the interventions and supporting policies of our government. So what is the impact of entrepreneurship on youth? Okay. So the question is more of the youth. Okay. So, you know, the impact of entrepreneurship in the youth is that First, it improved their self-confidence. Because as what Mama Rivera Romanes said in the past sessions, in starting a business, it's all start with you. So that's the number one impact of entrepreneurship to the young ones. Having first the self-confidence, because if they do not have this confidence, how will be the customers believe their products? And aside from the self-confidence they earn as aside from the confidence that they learn through entrepreneurship, of course, they were able to help boost the economy of our country, because there are a lot of young entrepreneurs here in the Philippines through, of course, the help of our government. So is there more questions? And I hope not that I answered all your questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kimberly, for the answer the question, because of this is very interesting that for the Philippine policies in entrepreneurship is focus on the youth generation. That's about the beginning for the startup to build, right? And then maybe I have like one question about what kind of business that popular right now in this the young generation in Philippines.
Hello, pardon, can you please repeat the question?
What kind of business that popular right now in Philippines for a young generation?
Usually the most popular products here in the Philippines are mostly food, because everyone loves to eat. That's why if you can see all the business proposals of our students, it's more of goods or food, because it's the most popular here in the Philippines.
Okay, thank you, Miss Kimberly. Maybe for the other audience, do you have any question? You can press the button directly, raise hand to ask directly. This is Judy and Pajarito. He asks one question from Northwest Samar State University, Philippines. The question is, what are the benefits of MSME in today's Philippine economy? What the benefit?
Hello, so thank you for the question. So what are the benefits of MSME in today's Philippine economy? Just what I've said earlier, MSMEs provide many job opportunities to our country. They produce 40% of the gross domestic products to our economy. So they contributed a lot, because 99.5% business establishments in the country are MSMEs. And they were able to produce a lot of job opportunities and help boost the economy of our country. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the answer, Ms. Kimberly. Maybe is there any question again from the participant? That's very interesting, yeah. A lot of question because of maybe for the youth, there are like the 3-step, 3-act for the youth program from the Philippines government, right? Like Youth Start, Youth Net, and Youth March. What the difference between 3 of them? The main of the difference is about the stage of the startup or SME. Miss Kimberly, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, Ma'am Adeline.
Oh, yeah. I want to ask you a question. This is about the component for the Youth Entrepreneurship Act, right? There are like 3 components about Youth Start, Youth Net, and Youth Match. And I saw about your presentation. It is about like they assess for the young entrepreneurship from the other level, step by step, right? For the your start, is it the assist is still from the just ideas? What the difference of the 3 component is this?
All right. So first, the Youth Start focuses on mastery or the mindset change. So as you can see, so let's go back to the 3 components. Okay, so in Youth Start, during this component, the Department of Trade Industry want to the young ones to start their business. That's why they offers different interventions like entrepreneurship seminars and trainings, and also, I'm sorry, no, my presentation. All right, so aside from entrepreneurship seminar and skills training, we also offer business registration assistance, business or franchise opportunities, and business ideas. While in the Youth Net, so they help the young ones to find mentors so that they can improve their business ventures. So it focuses on the mastery of their business and more of mentoring. And the last one is the Youth Match, or it highlighted under these components are money, provisions of machines, and market. So DTI provides these interventions to help them have an access to the market and help them to have machines which they can use to improve their productions, and of course, capital. So they provide the following interventions: business pitching, business matching, trade fair participation, and business expansion opportunities. Thank you, Ma'am Edley.
Okay, thank you. So it means that the youth match is about for the youth entrepreneur is ready to commercialize their product or services, right? So it means that for the youth match itself, because this is the component are money, machine, and market aspect, right? Okay, thank you so much, Miss Kimberly. Maybe is there any question for the audience? Can you raise your hand? Okay. If there is no question further, maybe because the time's already up. Thank you so much, Miss Kimberly, for joining with us and sharing the knowledge about the policies in the Philippine context for the young generation. And we have to come to the end of the session. Thank you, thank you, Miss Kimberly, for your presentation, and I thank you, the whole audience who have attended for the 3rd session. This is the last session of this day. Now let me for the session. Maybe I will close for the session, and don't forget to join again for the last day of the summer course tomorrow. Thank you so much for Miss Kimberly and
Thank you so much, Ma'am Adeline.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. All.
Thank you.